Glorious day to you, my friends. Happy new moon. I'm here at Lucian Morin Park in, technically it's Penfield, New York. It's one of the Monroe County parks, and it is one of the parks. Let me turn it around here. One of the parks on Blue Jay on Irondequoit Creek, and we can see there in the distance Irondequoit Creek. So on this little hike, it's a short hike, we're going to talk about the new moon. We'll do a little manifestation. We're going to talk about Irondequoit Creek. Besides manifesting, I asked Spirit, what is it that you want to talk about during this new moon? The new moon is at 10:41 p.m. Eastern Time. So so hukutuchu warwana harsihia. And when we celebrate the cycles of the moon, we're celebrating the cycles of breath, and the cycles of life, and the cycles of year. We're celebrating all cycles. It is August 18th, 818. In 2020, yep. So it's 8184 or 174. I guess we can technically add them together. 8 and 4 is 12, which is a 3-day, but the interestingly, what Spirit said when I noticed the 17 and the 4, 1 and 4 and 7. Interesting little demonstration of what a bald eagle nest looks like. So maybe there's a bald eagle nest around here. We will certainly know, because it will be all taped off. Don't hike around this area. This part here is technically a road. I want to be near the creek. That's why I'm on this road versus the trail. The trail looked really narrow, and since it rained last night and it rained this morning, and it rained just like 5 minutes ago, just a tad. The path. This one seems easy. Looks a little moist though. There we go, that looks good. Anyway, the Solfeggio Frequencies, using the numbers 1, 4, and 7, are the Earth Star Chakra. Then up 3 chakras to the solar plexus chakra, and up 3 chakras to the third eye chakra. And it's interesting that those are the numbers of today, and that those are the chakras, because when I asked Spirit what to talk about, basically it's that. So we're going to come back to, so the Earth Star chakra helps us ground, works with the root chakra and Mother Earth. It is the chakra that's outside of our physical body. It's at the edge of our aura, and when we send down roots through our feet and roots from our root chakra, if we're sitting on Mother Earth, it goes through and is focused with the Earth Star chakra. And the solar plexus is our willpower, is the fire. The fire. And a couple videos ago that I made a couple weeks ago, they talked about the fire is not really an element like earth, water, or air. That fire is the effect, the visible effect of matter changing forms. And how that maps to your will and your desire and your fire within, that you are the change, that you affect your change in the matter, in the material world, in your reality. And in the description below, we got links to the angel numbers 818 and also 1414. That was a different synchronicity for me today, but it's in there. So 818, the one word that stood out in the link is karma. And I looked at these numbers before I looked at all the rest of the stuff. Karma. So we're going to talk about karma. And 1414 is creating our own realities. Nahariyata nariyata, being the righteous ruler of our reality. And when we manifest, Spirit loves to talk about, through me, loves to talk. We got plenty of raspberries, or at least raspberry bushes here that I see. All these prickers. I'm just waiting to see some raspberries actually hanging on the tree, on the bush. It is time for raspberries. But it takes 3 years for young raspberry vines, bushes, to actually produce raspberries. And those sprouts actually look fairly young. Okay. So we've established some of the key ideas that Spirit want to talk about on this new moon for us to manifest, for us to think about. And we're here at Irondequoit Creek, near the town of Irondequoit, which is named after the Iroquois Confederation. The Iroquois are a confederation of tribes, of several tribes in New York State. And they were known for building consensus. And they were known for communicating effectively. The 7 council fires. And anytime anyone at the council fire addressed, when someone wanted to speak, they were allowed to speak. They spoke with respect. And everyone was an individual with a viewpoint that they respected. And everyone ended their address at the council fire with, the English translation is, I have said. They expressed their viewpoint. And that's what happens when we build consensus. Unless we listen to someone else's viewpoint, unless we consider it, how can we actually build a consensus? Because of their respect for each other. And I don't know if you can see the creek here. but the cattails are pretty high. Building consensus is important when you're dealing with large communities. When you're trying to bring the community together, move in a direction. If everybody expresses their viewpoint and everyone listens, we can decide whether we stay a confederation, whether we stay together as a unit in unity, or we split off into the individual viewpoints or the smaller collectives into separate council fires. So looking at the astrology of this new moon, many of the resources online, they're talking about conflict. So how do you deal with conflict? And what I pulled out of all the various resources, what Spirit had me pull out, let's put it that way. How do you deal with conflict and you converge on a solution to where the whole is harmonized, the entire group? And we can use the same strategy for 2 people or many people. The Confederation, Iroquois is a French word. I don't necessarily want to use it. So I'll just say the Confederation. The Confederation added tribes and removed tribes over time based on unity and viewpoints. Through listening and building consensus and respecting each individual's viewpoint and the collective viewpoint of each tribe. That's important. Because if you truly respect that they have a viewpoint and an opinion, you can listen. And then collectively, the group can vote. And collectively, the group can have a decision. And those who agree with the opinion, harmonization is the easy part. Those who dissent in the opinion get to make a choice. Do they still want to be part of the collective? And because everything was done with respect, because everything was done with respect, if someone decides, if a tribe decides that they no longer wish to be part of the collective, the rest of the collective respects it. So the major astrological effects of this new moon. So the new moon is when the sun and the moon are in alignment. The full moon is where the moon is opposite the sun from the viewpoint of the earth. And with the conjunction of the sun and the moon, we have Mercury. So when we look up at the sky, we see the sun and the moon and Mercury in alignment. And the opposite of that, so we look at the opposite side of the sky, we have Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto. Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto. Interesting combination. Saturn is time, chronos. Saturn is form. Saturn is focus or limitation. It's the definition of it. And Jupiter is the opposite. Jupiter is expansion. So it's like Saturn is the Hari, the one, and Jupiter is the Om, the unlimited. And those two dealing together. And then Pluto. Pluto's the, ruler of the underworld. It's not necessarily death, but it's also the rebirth associated with it. And so that's basically what the new moon is. Hey, the moon is dying, going totally black, no light reflected. But we know through the cycles of the moon that we will illuminate again to the full moon. There is rebirth in a new moon. So those are, they call them opposing forces, but hey. And then we have Mars. Mars is the other aspect of this new moon, the major aspect of it. The sun and the moon, they're near, and Mercury, they're near Regulus, in Leo, and Leo Regulus, along with Archangel Raphael, are the watchers of the south. And in the Wheel of Life, that's the height of life. And the people of the south, family and connections, the wolf people. So we're dealing with plenty of opposites or conflicting ideas. The do and the be, the focus, the expansion, the rebirth. And then we've got Mars, which is do, action, war, conflict. Okay, so I'm going to go towards water over here. So the question becomes, how do we deal with conflict? Okay. Well, I always ask the I Ching, and I got Hexagram 21 with no changing lines. They called it biting through. Okay, so sometimes you have an issue that the only option is to bite through it. Like this conflict that we have to deal with. And on some level, we're choosing to deal with it. And Hexagram 21 is the fire over thunder. And the snippet that jumped out is that it's the judgment of lightning that fulfills the prophecies that were warned by the distant thunder. And to me, that's all about releasing karma. Sahatatikawacha arvanananarya tata. Fire is conscious or consciousness. It's illuminating like the sun. Sahatikananirya tata. And thunder is the excitement. It's expansive. Impulsive even. Niyasahavartananarya tataka. And laughing, I asked some tarot cards, what they would like to contribute to this video. And I'm chuckling because Spirit says, how many messages do you need that mean the same thing? And so I got the Justice card, the Knight of Swords, and the Three of Pentacles. Justice is, like the I Ching said, it's the lightning that comes down and exacts the justice. Or in karma, karma simply is action and reaction, which is the law of attraction. What we put out to the universe is what we get back. We'll tie it all up soon. And the Knight of Swords is the air behaving as fire, or bold, decisive action. Sahawayakanana. What is air behaving as fire? Hakanananiyaratata. Air is the third state of matter. Hakanananiyaratata, where the atoms are more free-flowing, more impulsive, more chaotic, some would say. It is definitely less fixed than the earth and the water. The way earth changes, the volcano is fire, is earth behaving as fire. And when earth wants to enact change in and of itself, that's the volcano. And the wind and the water cooperate to reshape the earth, to reshape matter, to reshape reality, to reshape the form. And the air is free-flowing, the air is excited, because the molecules are more excited. Air behaving as fire. And fire, we said, is the visible effect of matter changing forms. And when the air is fully excited, how it brings about change is like the white knight charging in, not based on belief systems. Something needs to be done just for the sake of doing it. There is a wrong that needs to be righted. Someone who can't do it needs help. And there is no real decision involved with that Knight of Sahawaratanana, with that Knight of Swords. There is no actual decision. It's just like, it needs to be done. I have the ability, I'm going to do it. So and then the Three of Pentacles, which is cooperation, me doing my part. And the example comes by, to build your temple, you need architects, you need stonemasons, you need people who know how to make the mortar, you need people who know how to decorate, and who like to decorate. And the stonemason, when they're done, they don't do the decorating. You get a decorator to come do the decorating. And the stonemason relies upon the work of the architect They know how to place the stones. They know how to place the mortar. They know how to trim the stones. But maybe they don't know how to do the calculations. How to build an arch. How to put the roof on top. So they need to follow the plans. And how this all goes back is everybody does their part in the collective. In the council, on the 7 council fires to build consensus. And so let's go back to conflict for a minute. Conflict between 2 people. That's the easy scenario. Both people have a need to express their opinion, to express what they need from the other in that relationship. And sometimes as humans, as individuals, we need to express our need, and we need to do it now. We have a need. But what happens when the need to express by both people is equal? Who goes first? Did you ever get into a situation where both people are expressing their needs and both people are saying what they need to say, but the other person isn't listening? And you don't feel understood. How do you break that? How do you break that? That impasse. Someone has to listen first. It's as simple as that. Someone has to listen first. When everybody gets to the council fire and everybody has an opinion, how do you choose the order? How do you choose who speaks first? Do you actually listen when you're at the council fire when one person is speaking? And when there's only 2 people there? That's why sometimes a mediator helps. Because a mediator is going to say some things first. And a mediator is going to ask both parties. A mediator is going to help facilitate the listening. They're trained at listening. They're trained at active listening. And they're trained at confirming that the other person heard what the first person said. But the point was not to reach out to a mediator. Reach out to a mediator if you need. It could be just an impartial third party. It doesn't have to be an official mediator. We're not necessarily talking about a marriage and marriage counseling. Someone has to listen first. That's the key. And if you actually listen and you check your understanding, at least the first person feels understood. That's a major milestone. So if you express patience first and listen, someone feels understood. And after you get a yes, and active listening is simply, let me repeat that back so I can check my understanding. And you repeat that process of checking your understanding until you get a yes. Because when you get a yes, the other person feels understood. Yes, you understand what I'm trying to get across. Because at least, that doesn't necessarily resolve the conflict, but at least party number 1 feels like they're understood. And then hopefully party 2 gets to express their needs or their opinions or their viewpoint. Whether they respond to the first person's needs that they now understand, or do they express what they need? Now it's person one's turn, party one's turn to listen and actively listen, to try to understand, so that party two feels like they are understood. And sometimes that's a long, drawn-out process to achieve understanding on everyone's outstanding issues, to make possible suggestions on converging. Because once you understand the other person's viewpoint, consensus is possible. It's intentionally possible at that point. If you don't, it's randomly possible that you have convergence. Would you rather be deterministic, where you know where your actions are leading towards convergence? Or would you rather leave it up to chance? If that relationship meant a lot to me, I would prefer the bold, decisive action where the decision, there is no decision. There really is no decision. I want to help the other person feel understood. I want to resolve this conflict. I'm dedicated to resolving this conflict. Step one is to understand their viewpoint. And even if you go through the whole communication where you understand their viewpoint and you can outline to yourself what you need to do to meet their needs, it doesn't mean that your needs are met. Communication hasn't happened the other way yet. Or has it? I don't know. But you can build consensus at that point, because you both agree that, okay, I can step in and do that, and you say you're going to step in and you're going to do that, and we're converging on a solution. I want to go that way. I don't think I want to go up that way. So my handrail is the creek. I know I want to go that way with the creek on my left. I've got people coming up. I'll mask up as they go by. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
And when we start making steps, concrete steps that confirm that we're actually doing what we said we're going to do, that's when we begin to harmonize. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a trail down there, so I'm going to continue along this. Interesting. Nahariyata Hananaska. And I could have came this way. So we talked about all the things. So now let's manifest. Is there a conflict in your life? Or if one comes up during this new moon, like everybody's predicting this via astrology, can you listen? That's the invitation. Can you understand the other person's viewpoint? Can you express your part of the conflict? And it's okay to walk away from the council fire. That's one way to resolve the conflict. Okay, we'll just turn right and we're gonna go do our own thing. Or I'm gonna go do my own thing. What if you understand the other person's point of view and they understand your point of view? Leaving that council fire is not emotional, doesn't generate karmic imprint. Oh, look at that, we've returned to karma. Karma. What you give out to the universe is what you get back. Everything's in balance. Whether you see it or not, whether you feel it or not, you may not be experiencing balance. And some people talk about past lives, and maybe this karmic imprint that is out of balance is coming from a past life. If that comes into your awareness, it's simply an opportunity to clear it. Your true authentic self would not bring it up, would not make you aware of it if it were not ready to be cleared. And look at this, we got a doe here. We got two does. We got a doe and a fawn. So hoka, 3. Apparently I now know how to count. Observant. Kona atahati shawata toto isananari atakawaha. The deer people are the people. Let's go to the red. Deer people are the people of the East. They're the people of the East, the people of the new moon. The people of the East. The new is what happens after the rebirth. The new co-creation. Can happen after the conflict is acknowledged. We acknowledge by listening and feeling understood. The convergence happens by making a plan and doing the plan. Bold, decisive action. And the harmonization happens in the newness. Because the affinity is built, the trust is built, the reliance on the other person doing what they say they're doing happens. And the karma. So you're generating good karma by doing what you say you're going to do. And if you've done something that was out of balance in this life or in the past, you've made a karmic imprint and it needs to be balanced. Simple as that. So you perform another action that is opposite in balancing. So I don't know what's going on with oh, there we go. So now a little story before manifestation. In this story, one of my clients recently was so powerful